Nayoka Clunis, an assistant director of operations at Penn State, became the first Jamaican to compete in the hammer throw competition at the World Athletics Championships at the 2023 staging in Budapest, Hungary. Despite being Jamaica's only hammer throw qualifier for the 2024 Paris Olympics, Nayoka suffered the indignity of being omitted from the list of athletes submitted to World Athletics by the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association. The Jamaica Olympic Association interceded on her behalf by filing case OG 2401 with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. But that was to no avail, as the CAS, led by the Honourable Dr. Annabel Bennett, President of the panel, arbitrators Ms. Karine Dupeyron and Ms. Kristen Thorsness OLY, ultimately ruled it had no jurisdiction to hear the application. While we may never know if enmity or incompetence was the catalyst, some things are glaringly apparent. There are people in positions of critical importance utilising processes, if any at all, that have resulted in unmitigable adverse effects to the lives of at least 3 athletes this Olympics. That has to change. Here is the chronology of events from the decision rendered in CAS OG 2401, which involved applicant Nayoka Clunis, respondent Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, and interested parties World Athletics, Jamaica Olympic Association, International Olympic Committee, Irina Klimitz and Ukrainian Athletic Association. December 20th, 2022. WA published its qualification system for the Paris Olympic Games. This provided, inter alia, that there would be 32 entries in field events, including the hammer throw, for each of the men's and women's categories. June 19th, 2024. The WA Competition Department held an information session for member federations regarding the qualification system, relevant deadlines, and reallocation procedure. July 2nd, 2024. WA confirmed the list of athletes qualified by entry standard and the world rankings, and qualified those athletes through that system. Ms. Clunis was identified as eligible for nomination through her world ranking position, which was 23rd. In that communication, Washington reminded member federations to submit their pre-entries with a deadline of the 4th of July 2024, midnight Monaco time. That communication stated that athletes who were not included in the event entry system would not be considered for the Paris Olympic Games. It also stated that, by submitting the pre-entries, the member federations would allow WA to know which qualified athletes were going to participate in each event, and that it would, therefore, reallocated any unused quota places to the next best available athlete by world rankings. July 3rd, 2024. The applicant was informed by the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association that, based on her WA ranking, she had been selected to compete in the Olympic Games Paris 2024. The panel notes that there is no dispute that the athlete was entitled to be selected to represent Jamaica at the Paris Olympic Games, July 4, 2024. The applicant was informed of the deadline for submission of pre-entries. There is no direct evidence of exactly when the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association submitted its list, but it is not in dispute that it was submitted by the deadline. That list did not include the name of the athlete. July 5th, 2024. WA reallocated places to the next best ranked athletes named by their member federations, based on the remaining number of places available. The available place in hammer throw, as the athlete's name was not on the list submitted by the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, was allocated to another athlete from Ukraine. July 5th, 2024. On the same day, Washington informed member federations and the IOC of athletes qualified and eligible for entry to the Paris Olympic Games. July 6, 2024. The president of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association wrote by email to WA setting out the JAA's error in not including the athlete in the event entry system, which was, he said, due to the inputs being done on the day of the approaching Hurricane Beryl. He spoke of the inability to rectify this error prior to submission due to the impact of Hurricane Beryl on electricity and internet access in Jamaica. The Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association requested that the athlete be added to the list of pre-entries that had been submitted. July 7th, 2024, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association issued a press release containing the names of the track and field athletes selected to represent Jamaica at the Olympic Games Paris. the athlete's name was included on that list for the Hammer event. July 7th, 2024, the athlete's coach informed the athlete that she was not on Jamaica's list of athletes. The athlete, apparently by text message, contacted the President and General Secretary of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, the latter of whom responded that she was aware that the athlete's name was inadvertently left off the list of athletes ratified by World Athletics for the hammer throw event. As is usual, all athletes selected by the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association are entered into the WA entry system as soon as the team is selected, days before the final deadline. The list submitted is rechecked before the deadline for changes. Unfortunately, due to the intervention of Hurricane Beryl and its sick impact on the electricity and internet, we were unable to recheck the list. When we were able to do this, we realised the omission and have written to WA about the situation. They are in discussion about the matter and we expect a decision soon. July 7th, 2024. WA published the final list of athletes certified to compete in the Paris Olympic Games. July 8th, 2024. This was the deadline for the final entries list of participating athletes in the Paris Olympic Games at 23:59 Central European Summer Time to be sent to the IOC. This list, relevantly of Jamaican athletes approved and certified by WA, was provided by the National Federation, the Jamaica Olympic Association. The list did not include the name of the athlete. July 8th, 2024. The Director of the Competition and Events Department of WA, the Director, responded to the President of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association that WA could not grant the request to include the athlete's name as the 32 places in the hammer throw had been completed by the reallocation of the 5th of July 2024 in accordance with the published qualification system. The director said that he had discussed the athlete's situation with the President of WA, but the best solution that he could offer was that WA would include the athlete if there were to be an entry cancellation or withdrawal in her event, in accordance with the IOC's late athlete replacement policy. He asked the President of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association to accept that WA had to follow the rules and regulations. July 12, 2024. The athlete was informed by the President of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association that he had been speaking with the IOC and WA and that they should be meeting on July 15th or 16th about her matter. July 15th, 2024. The President of the JAAA wrote to the Director, referring to the response of the 8th of July, saying that he writes, "To remind you that this unfortunate situation was due to the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl," emphasis added, and asking again that the athlete be included in the list of athletes to compete, even if there were no withdrawal or cancellation by another athlete. July 16th, 2024. The President of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association informed the athlete that there was no update. On the same date, the JRA renewed its request for the addition of the athlete to its list of pre-entries, regardless of whether a place became available. July 18th, 2024. The athlete filed her application with the CAS ad hoc division. Did the dispute arise within the 10-day period preceding the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games? In the application, the athlete hasn't nominated a decision from which she appeals. The section of the application asking for the details of the decision challenged, if any, is left blank. It is to be recalled that the respondent is the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, and that the relief sought, while seeking any other relief or remedy that the panel may deem just in the circumstances, can only be sought against the respondent to the application. From the chronology set out above, it is apparent that the dispute as between the athlete and the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association could be said to have arisen on the 4th of July 2024, when the athlete's name was omitted from the list sent to WA on the 7th of July 2024. It is clear that all of these dates are beyond the time limit required for the panel of the ad hoc division for the Paris Olympic Games to have jurisdiction. The athlete recognises that jurisdiction is a hurdle. She submits that she was unaware of the particulars of WA's position prior to the receipt of WA's submissions to this panel on the 19th of July 2024, the day after her application was filed. Thus, she submits, The dispute only crystallized and therefore only arose on that date, before which she did not know that the matter was over. This seems to the panel to be a reference to the consequences of the errors by the respondent and attempts to ask WA to rectify those errors rather than a reference to knowledge of the actions of the respondent, the JOA. The panel cannot accept this submission. The relevant date is when the dispute between the athlete and the JOA arose, not when it could be said to have crystallized by the receipt of submissions from WA as an interested party. A dispute does not arise when all steps to resolve the dispute have failed. The dispute either arose when the athlete became aware that her name had not been included on the list submitted by the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, or when she first became aware that the mistake would not or could not be rectified by WA. The panel does not need to decide which of these dates apply, as both are beyond the 10 days prior to the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games. The athlete and the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association then submitted that the dispute arose on the 15th of July 2024 when the president of the JIA wrote to WA as set out above, to which there was no response prior to the filing of the application on the 18th of July 2024. This clearly cannot be said to be the date when the dispute arose. First, this is not when the dispute between the athlete and the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association arose by reason of the omission of her name. Secondly, jurisdiction cannot be invoked, and a dispute said to have arisen by repeating a request to resolve a problem. Thirdly, it is clear from the terms of the letter of the 15th of July 2024 that it refers back to the letter of the 8th of July 2024 in which WA set out its position and reminds WA of its earlier correspondence. Thus, it is effectively a reiteration of the JA's position. In any event, the date of the 15th of July 2024 is beyond the temporal jurisdiction of the CAS Ad Hoc Division. The panel concludes that it has no jurisdiction in this case as the dispute arose prior to a period of 10 days preceding the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games. Having determined that the panel does not have jurisdiction for this reason, it is unnecessary to consider whether there is jurisdiction under Rule 61 of the Olympic Charter. The panel has been urged by the athlete and by the JIA to assume jurisdiction to remedy situations that would otherwise go unremedied, as sought in the application, or where it was convenient to do so. The panel fully recognises and appreciates the unfairness to the athlete of the events that have occurred and of the impact on her of being deprived of the opportunity to compete in the Paris Olympic Games. Unfortunately, this does not enable the panel to assume jurisdiction where it does not exist under the arbitration rules for the Olympic Games. Conclusion. Qualifying for the Olympics demands immense dedication, rigorous training, and exceptional talent, requiring athletes to spend years honing their skills. Nayoka embodied this commitment, making untold sacrifices and enduring numerous challenges for the opportunity to represent her country on the quintessential stage of athletics, the Olympics, a stage that less than 0.1% of the world's population will ever grace. For her Olympic dreams to be unjustly shattered due to bureaucratic missteps and negligence is reprehensible.